Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 1st of September 2021, a new month and many new stories to discuss with you. And this is the lineup for today. We will begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the latest as far as the Afghan situation is concerned, and of course, by the statements that have emanated from Pakistan and from the Pakistani quarter as far as the future of Afghanistan is concerned. Let's begin with Biden, who said Afghanistan's exit marks the end of the US nation building. On the other hand, Ambassador Mansoor Khan Saab also talked to media, and he said that Islamabad is committed to an inclusive political statement. Our Information Minister, Fawad Chaudhry Saab, has also said that Pakistan's role is being praised the world over. And Pakistan's cabinet in a meeting yesterday also reiterated Pakistan's commitment to the settlement of the Afghan issue. At the same time, Pakistan's US envoy says that Afghanistan's internal dynamics have led to the fall of Kabul. These and more are going to be discussed in our first segment as far as Afghanistan is concerned. Then in our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, we will discuss about Pakistan's enduring commitment to the China-Pakistan economic corridor. This was reiterated in a meeting between the Chief of the Army Staff and the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Pakistan. And of course, as we very well know about how Pakistan and China are moving forward as far as the China-Pakistan economic corridor is concerned. The Chinese envoy also said that China will maintain Pakistan as a strategic partner. And of course, Pakistan and China have also reiterated their commitment to this very important corridor, that is this CPEC. And also a note on the spoilers that have been trying to create instability between the relations between Pakistan and China, as well as this China-Pakistan economic corridor is concerned. And this is also something that was discussed during the meeting. And now in our third story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about Akhuwat founder Dr Amjad Saqib, who has received the Ramon Magsaysay Award of 2021. He is a Pakistani microfinance pioneer. This is equivalent to Asia's Nobel Prize. And of course, this is a huge commitment and of course a huge result for all the efforts that this microfinance giant has been doing in the last couple of years. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, some news from the wildlife, where Sri Lanka has reported the rare birth of elephant twins, and this rare birth of elephant twins in the country has happened after many decades. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and this is going to be about the Afghan situation and how things are moving rapidly as far as Afghanistan is concerned, and Pakistan's commitment for an Afghan-owned and Afghan-led peace process. More in the following report.
What have we lost as a consequence in terms of opportunities? I refuse to continue a war that was no longer in the service of the vital national interest of our people. And most of all, after 800,000 Americans serving in Afghanistan, I've traveled that whole country, brave and honorable service. After 20,744 American servicemen and women injured, and the loss of 2,461 American personnel, including 13 lives, lost just this week, I refuse to open another decade of warfare in Afghanistan.
The Afghanistan endgame once again proved Pakistan's indispensable role in regional affairs. Pakistan took center stage in West's chaotic evacuation efforts, and hence safe evacuations of Western diplomats and Afghan nationals materialized. Islamabad airport became focal point of hectic evacuation process, which had provided transit to more than 20,000 evacuees in 10 days after the fall of Kabul to Taliban, and thus Pakistan earned spectacular global acclaim as responsible actor. Over the past 2 weeks, numerous world leaders have approached Pakistan through telephone calls for Prime Minister Imran Khan and Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi. They registered their generous appreciation of Pakistan's support to the world in the evacuation process and relentless efforts for Afghan peace. Pakistan's ambassador to US Asad Majid Khan denounced some misleading conspiracies by partisan US lawmakers and conceded that the US lawmakers had mischaracterized Pakistan's role in Afghanistan. Pakistan's envoy further underlined Pakistan's role as honest broker to facilitate and encourage all Afghan parties to come to a common understanding in order to forge an inclusive Afghan government. Amid shifting sands across Durand Line, the federal cabinet on Tuesday expressed the hope that after the Taliban takeover of the war-battered country, India would not be able to use Afghan soil against Pakistan. Pakistan's top diplomat in Kabul, Mansoor Ahmad Khan, echoed Pakistan's undaunted commitment to an inclusive, comprehensive political settlement in Afghanistan for the sake of ushering sustainable peace in the region.
Now to talk more about these latest situation and the developments as far as Afghanistan is concerned, we've been joined by Lieutenant General retired Raza Muhammad Khan Sahab. He's a senior analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us. Many questions are raised, sir, as far as the US point of view on the role that Pakistan has played. And I would like to refer to Republican Congressman Michael G. Waltz's letter to US President Joe Biden, in which he urged him to sanction Pakistan. Why is this happening?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think, first of all, this is not the first time that the United States has tried to shift blame for its failure in Afghanistan to Pakistan. This was done by Mr. Trump, on the New Year's Eve, in the year in which he was elected the president. And we all found out that all those allegations were wrong. President Biden himself has very categorically stated that the main responsibility for this disaster lies on the shoulders first of Mr. Ashraf Ghani, who left the government and left everybody in limbo. Secondly, he very openly, categorically stated that the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces refused to fight, and therefore they just melted. That was the second big reason. And the third reason that has already been given is that the United States was no more ready to accept any additional casualties in terms of deaths or in terms of injured. President Biden, in his address himself, said that it was no longer in the interest of the United States of America to continue to stay in Afghanistan, and that their mission in Afghanistan had ended a decade earlier. This is exactly what Pakistan had been suggesting to them. When Osama bin Laden was taken out, that was one time when they could have declared victory and gone home. Before that, in 2003, again, the Taliban were in disarray, and the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces were close to 300,000. But they decided to invade Iraq, and therefore they were diluted and dispersed, and the war lingered on. So I think one or two lawmakers asking for sanctioning Pakistan to transfer the blame of their failures will be very dishonest, and I think it will not serve anybody's interest.
All right, sir. Now we understand what Joe Biden's response also has been, and of course his understanding of the role that Pakistan has played. But at the same time, what happens with the rest of the US lawmakers that are either plagued by Pakistan's role in Afghanistan, or B, do not want, maybe one way or the other, for Pakistan to continue playing some kind of a role for a peaceful Afghanistan? And I would refer, of course, to the reply that was made by Ambassador Asad Majid Khan Saab to these US lawmakers.
Yes, I think I read that also, and that reply was very appropriate. But let me tell you once again that I think the biggest mistake which the United States itself will be making is to suspend its diplomatic presence in Kabul. They did so, for 12 years prior to 2001, and they saw what was the result of that. Right now, again, they have left Afghanistan in a lurch. They have shifted their embassy to Doha. I think, and I hope that this is a temporary phase. They must come back so that Afghanistan and its people do not suffer now at the hands of many terrorist groups who are still there and who have been attacking the Americans themselves. So they need to actually look at that first. Secondly,
all right,
Pakistan.
sir, looking at that very perspective, I like your point of view on Why do you feel that the US displaced its embassy in Doha? And of course, we also know that it wants Qatar to play a more proactive role as far as the future of Afghanistan is concerned, have also more migrants from Afghanistan into in Qatar. But do you feel there is some kind of other role that the US wants other countries also to play for the future of Afghanistan, apart from Pakistan and those other regional countries that are already there?
Well, I think they may want to do that because initially there was a coalition of 50 countries which fought this 2 decades long war and spent now, as President Biden said, over $2 trillion. Now, because the military phase is over and they have reverted now to the political and the diplomatic phase. So maybe that the United States wants other countries to get involved. That is all right. But this phase also has to be led by the United States as part of the Troika Plus, because it has signed that agreement amongst China, Russia, Pakistan, and itself. And therefore, I think uh, Afghanistan and the people of this region uh, owe it to the United States, and the United States owe it to them to engage the Taliban, to engage the new Afghan government. Also, at the same time, I think the Taliban should not delay any longer the formation now of a government, even though it may be an interim government, because the whole world is watching them, and they want that once a government is established, then there are certain conditions which were there in the Doha agreement, and that is
Of course, and that need to be catered to. Sir, there's another point when it comes to government in Afghanistan is concerned. Pakistan has always wanted an inclusive government in Afghanistan that includes the other factions that also want now to have talks with the Afghan Taliban. How do you see the future of this inclusivity of the Afghan government that might be formed sooner or later or in the coming days?
I think inclusivity or the broad-based government should directly be proportional to the representation given to the various factions in accordance with their population. We are aware, that Pakhtuns form a majority of the Afghan population. They've been ruling Afghanistan for the last 300 years. But even in 2001, over advocacy of the Pashtun factors led to essentially to the downfall of the Taliban when they were attacked by the United States. Now again, I think the Tajiks and the Hazaras who form over 20% of the population, and then the Uzbeks, which about 5%, they all need to be given representation in the new Afghan government, including women. And I think once that is done, there will be a relatively stable government in Afghanistan. And I think that is a security, that is an insurance for peace in Afghanistan.
When you talk of stability in Afghanistan, sir, how do you see also these latest attacks that have come from the Afghan side into Pakistan? And I'd like to refer to what happened in Bajaur, what happened in Waziristan and Dir in the last few days. Do you feel that the Afghan Taliban will be able to control factions such as the ISISK or TTP, who are adamant to bring instability to Pakistan?
I think, first of all, the Taliban need to respect its border with Pakistan and Afghanistan border. They should stop calling them the Durand line. There is no such thing as the Durand line now. It is a border established and it is recognized by the entire world. And I think they need to help and assist Pakistan in completing this fence, which is about 90 to 95% complete. Once that is done, then I think the cross-border movement of terrorists will be very difficult. Let me again add to this is that the reprisals by the United States against ISIS-K would compel many of them to cross the border and come to Pakistan either through the gaps in the fence, or they may use the Pak-Iran border, which is not completely fenced. Similarly, a very large caches of weapons, arms, ammunitions, they have been left by the retreating ANDF forces that may have come into the wrong hands, into the hands of terrorists. As in the past, I think there is a great likelihood of those weapons and ammunition being smuggled into Pakistan and being given to terrorists. So again, the emphasis being on joint mechanism for border control, particularly the TPP, the Baloch rebels who are there, the raw people which India has been nurturing and funding. So these are our concerns as well as the concerns of the new Taliban government, and we hope that Pakistan and Afghanistan can sit together and address all these concerns collectively.
How important is the relationship between the internal dynamics of Afghanistan and how it plays along with the security situation in the region?
Pakistan's policy has always been uh, an emphasis on the regional approach for the solution of the Afghanistan problem. I think, and that needs to be focused upon. And when we are talking of the region, it is not only the Troika Plus, but it is also Iran and other neighbors of Afghanistan. At the same time, I think there was a mention of the role of India. It has always been playing a negative role. You saw it during their presidentship last month of the Security Council, how they tried to blame Pakistan for
Not
everything
only
that.
that, Pakistan was not even allowed to participate in the meetings on Afghanistan in the United Nations Security Council.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, we are aware that India in the last 1 decade has trained from 8,000 to 10,000 Afghan forces, which includes about 100 officers. And we know that all those troops and senior civil bureaucrats, they've been thoroughly brainwashed, to dislike Pakistan, to dislike the Taliban, to dislike China. And we do not know, how the Taliban are going to handle these people. But that should be a matter of concern for them as well as for us. Also, the Indian foreign minister, at the beginning of last year, he said that there are 400 Indian projects in all 34 provinces of Afghanistan. Ostensibly, these are development projects. But we know that within those development projects, they are going to misuse them and they are going to support the agents of chaos to hurt Pakistan, to hurt the Taliban, to hurt China, and also to make sure that regional peace is not obtained.
All right. Sir, finally, our foreign minister today, while addressing the Senate Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, said that Pakistan wants a coordinated strategy as far as Afghanistan is concerned. And of course, that all parties at the meeting were in agreement with what Pakistan's stance is. How important is Pakistan's stance on this whole Afghan affair and the way Pakistan will move forward with other countries in collaboration and coordination with other countries and of course the strategy that Pakistan is going to have with all of these regional strata of important nations to go forward as far as the future of a stable, peaceful and economically wealthy Afghanistan is concerned?
I think three countries are very important. One amongst the West, the United States is their leader, and therefore the United States should understand that an early recognition of the new regime in Afghanistan is vital for stability and security, and it is in their own interest. Amongst the SCO countries, again China and Russia, I think will be willing to do so. The OIC is now in the background. I think the affluent countries of the OIC also need to come forward and to assert themselves to find a regional solution that is guided by by the OIC Charter. Similarly, the United Nations, whether it is UNAMA or anyone else, they need to come and assist the people of Afghanistan. We know that there are more than 500,000 IDPs there. And the UNHCR said that at least 10,000 people in the last 1 or 2 have already fled Afghanistan. So where have they gone? Maybe some of them have come to Pakistan, others to Iran or to other neighboring countries. So again, UNHCR need to find out funding for these people to settle the IDPs and also to look after these additional refugees who may be hiding somewhere and who may be unregistered and creating problems for many countries of the region.
Thank you very much, sir. Lieutenant General retired Raza Mohammad Khan Sahab, senior analyst, talking to us about the developments as far as Afghanistan is concerned. Of course, Afghanistan is going to have issues in the coming days because of the humanitarian issues that it is confronted with right now. A lot of people are relocating from one place to the other, but once stability comes into that country, inshallah ta'ala, with the collaboration and cooperation of all the regional countries, including Pakistan, that has been playing a very important role, Afghanistan will again stand on its feet and will become the stable country that it has been a few decades back. Our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, of the day concerns the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and Pakistan-China cooperation, collaboration as far as this very important project is concerned. This was something that was also reiterated very recently in a meeting between the Chief of the Army Staff and the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Pakistan. More in the following report.
CPEC remains one of the most promising projects of 21st century in tapping hitherto unexplored avenues of mutual prosperity. Apart from its strategic and regional connectivity outlook, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor had also offered hope for Pakistan's economic revival and industrial transformation. The spectacular potential of China-Pakistan joint venture instigated sheer anxiety in regional pariah states and destabilizing tendencies which are using clandestine measures to sabotage this magnificent enterprise. Sensing the malicious designs of regressive tendencies, Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa reiterated Pakistan's firm resolve to thwart antics of CPEC spoilers. A statement issued by the Inter-Services Public Relations noted that while talking to Chinese envoy Nong Rong, General Bajwa, without mentioning spoilers overtly, vowed to foil sinister designs against CPEC. The military's media wing further underlined that the visiting dignitary cherished Pakistan's sincere endeavors for crystallizing peace and stability in the region and reiterated that China will continue to support Pakistan as a strategic partner. It is pertinent to mention here that in the past few weeks, there have been two attacks on Chinese nationals in Pakistan, signally concerted efforts of India and its collaborators against multi-billion-dollar project. Since being officially launched by President Xi in April 2015, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has attracted some $25 billion investment into Pakistan's roads, ports, power plants, and fiber optic cables, according to former CPEC Authority Chairman Lieutenant General retired Asim Salim Bajwa. A major new study by a Carnegie Endowment for International Peace has suggested that, contrary to bleak conspiracies, Pakistan has also enjoyed substantial success in securing its objectives in relation to CPEC. Thus, CPEC exhibits novel opportunity to usher prosperity in a region plagued by poverty and underdevelopment, and failure to realize its mutually beneficial potential will not bode well with miscreants.
Now we'll talk more about the importance of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and how some spoilers that we know very well are trying to destabilize this very important project between the two countries. We've been joined by Mohammad Faisal. He's a research fellow with the ISSI. Faisal, thank you very much to have joined us. Faisal, first of all, let's begin with the issues, the spoilers, and we know exactly who those spoilers are as far as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the projects under it are concerned. We've seen the incidents that have happened in the last few months, and we've also seen how deliberately projects under the CPEC and the Chinese nationals have been targeted. Why do you feel, Faisal, that countries that could also benefit in the long term from CPEC are trying to destabilize this project?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And as you said, it's an economic development project. And to your specific question that why would countries want to oppose it and act as a spoiler? Because we are living in a region where security competition, a strategic competition is going on. There is a competition between India and Pakistan. So in that sense, anything that benefits Pakistan, India looks at it as counterproductive to it. In this zero-sum game, a gain of one is loss of another. In the longer run, as you rightly mentioned, that India stands to benefit. If the relationship between India and Pakistan improves, that's then. Until that happens, India is going to oppose any initiative that is for Pakistan's prosperity, Pakistan's economic development, Pakistan's growth, Pakistan's forward movement. And in that,
But
India,
Faisal, what I fail to understand again is, I mean, I understand that India wants to be the big brother in the region, and it wants to have all the accolades and put Pakistan on the sideline. It has never accepted even Pakistan's independence since 1947. But the fact remains that Pakistan is here. Pakistan is here to stay. More than 70 years have passed. The two countries are now independent. Why doesn't India still manage to understand the whole concept of Pakistan and stability in Pakistan and important projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor? You know, how much they want to spoil. At the end of the day, the CPEC will stand on its own 2 feet, and the projects will go on despite all the efforts that it is trying to thwart this project. Why doesn't it understand?
It's a simple reason. It's just obsession. India is obsessed with keeping Pakistan bogged down. India is obsessed with frustrating Pakistan. And for CPEC particularly, there is an element of China as well. India has its competition with China going on. There is an India-China rivalry. They have a standoff going on their border for last 18 months or so now. And if you go back and if you look at 2015, when President Xi visited Pakistan and both countries, they now made public plans for the CPEC. It was commenced. Indians, the very next day, they opposed it. At that time, there was no reason to oppose it. There was no economic logic for opposing it. There was no political logic for opposing it. There was no security logic. It was just that the two countries, Pakistan and China, had made public their intent of pursuing a development project which had a regional impact later on. But at that time, the opposition was basically that it is over its route, it is passing to GB. Well, until and unless India and Pakistan, their relationship remains a conflictual relationship, their relationship remains a security-oriented relationship, India is going to oppose Pakistan and all its initiatives at every cost. It is for us to strategize while taking into account Indian position that we have to move forward. We cannot be beholden to the Indian opposition. We need to be aware of what India is doing, and we need to strategize according to that. But we cannot stay back and keep on thinking that when situation improves, then we'll move forward. No, we will not give that much thought to the Indian opposition. They can do what they want to do. We will counter India and we will move ahead with our prosperity because it is important for our future, for the future of our future generations.
All right. Now, Faisal, whether it be the Gwadar incident, the Dasu hydropower project incident, the Chinese nationals have been deliberately targeted so as to destabilize also the relationship between Pakistan and China. Does China, in your point of view, understand that Pakistan still is wants a very strong and stable relationship with its neighbor, and that this is just a deliberate ploy by other countries to put cracks in this friendship or this cooperation between the two countries?
You were rightly mentioned that it was an attempt to actually destabilize the Pakistan-China relationship. I think that both Chinese and Pakistani leadership, they recognize the challenges that the relationship faces, and they recognize that this relationship is not a new relationship. It's a 7 decades old relationship.
Of course.
And it has withstood the test of time. There has been many challenges earlier. We overcame by coordinating together, by strategizing together, by working closely, by collaborating closely. And it's the same thing that we are doing again. This recent meeting that your opening was about General Bajwa's meeting with the Chinese ambassador yesterday, that was an attempt, that was also an effort by Pakistani side to continue to regularly coordinate, regularly communicate with the Chinese side that we are cognizant of their concerns, we are working together, and there is a mechanism in place where both sides share their concerns, both sides also take actions after joint consultations. This dialogue, communication, coordination, this is important. And until and unless we have this communication and dialogue, the trust will go on. See, this relationship is a deep-rooted relationship. It has a high degree of strategic trust, strategic credibility, and the strategic dependence of both sides on each other. And one or two incidents, or 3 or 4 incidents, they are not going to shatter 7 decades of trust.
That is true. I understand that. But nevertheless, it's very important for China to understand that Pakistan wants a very stable and strong relationship with its neighbor. Now, coming to another neighbor, that is Afghanistan, how much do you feel what is happening as far as the deliberate targeting of Chinese is related to also peace in Afghanistan. We know that in the presser in August, when Shah Mahmood Qureshi Saab talked about the Dasu incident, he also told about the elements that had come from Afghanistan, and he talked about the Indian elements as well. How important is it also to have a stable Afghanistan in order to move forward with a stable CPEC?
Well, a stable Afghanistan is, as they say, a necessary condition for CPEC to move forward. When the Dasu incident happened in the mid of July, that's like 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, at that time, there was a different government in Afghanistan, there was a different security setup in Afghanistan, which was hostile towards Pakistan. So in that sense, that hostile setup, that hostile security setup, it facilitated, it provided support to the TTP, which is bent against harming Pakistan. It is bent, it is bent towards hurting Pakistan. And in that, TTP and those who want to hurt Pakistan, they figured out that if they hurt the Chinese in Pakistan, that would bring pressure on Pakistan. That would jeopardize Pakistan's one of the most prized security relationship. So in that sense, it was an attempt to also destabilize Pakistan's foreign policy, strategic outlook. In that sense, now the situation in Afghanistan has changed. There, the foreign military forces, namely the US and the NATO, they have withdrawn. Now we will have a new government. Now we will have a new regime. So in that sense, the ground situation in Afghanistan is saying there has been multiple regional developments that pretend a new, better situation for Afghanistan's peace and stability, which will have a direct positive effect on Pakistan's peace and stability in that sense.
But you know, Faisal, but to be very frank, Faisal, you know that the Afghan Taliban had officially stated that they will not let their territory be used against any neighboring country. This is quote unquote. But of course, we've seen in the last couple of days that there have been incidents in Bajor or in other areas from the Afghan side into Pakistani territory. Do you feel that this might take some time before stability finally comes into Afghanistan, and that leads to more stability as far as the CPEC is concerned?
Oh, of course, stability will not come overnight. Stability is a long drawn process. There will be incremental progress. In 6 months to a year, we will be at a better place than we are today. In 2 to 3 years, we'll be in a much better place. So it's a process that's continuing to working. Afghan Taliban have given their commitment not just to Pakistan, but to China as well, to the US, to the Europeans, and to other regional countries as well, that they will not let Afghan soil being used for attacks in the neighboring countries and for international terrorism. That being said, it will take time for Afghan Taliban to consolidate their position and exert full control on the Afghan territory. So between the time of right now and the time that they exert full control, there is a fluid situation. In that situation, there will be elements that will try to take advantage of the position and hurt neighboring countries, Pakistan and others. There will be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 incidents, but for the attack in the Bajor and the other border incident that you mentioned, see, we have a peculiar situation. That is a TTP phenomena. When the Afghan Taliban, they opened the jail of Kabul, actually, they also let free the TTP prisoners. So in that sense, TTP has regained some strength. It is regrouping. So now, in that, as it is regaining strength, readjusting. So it will strike back at Pakistan with a smaller number of attacks. In that sense, we have to improve our defenses. We have to double down our defenses, and we have to be on alert. Like we need to be our defense system, our security system needs to be more vigilant. In the fluid situation that we are in right now, from now till 6 months to a year, till another 12 months, we need to be much more alert. We can't be
when you talk of the security apparatus to be more vigilant as far as these spoilers, whether it be India, whether it be the TTP, whether it be the ISSI are concerned, how important also is Pakistan's security collaboration with other important regional players, like for example Russia, like for example Turkey, like for example China, or the Central Asian countries?
It is definitely key to improving the security situation. See, the security issues, the peace and stability issues, the terrorism issues, they are not the only issues affecting one particular country. They affect everybody equally in some different forms, manifestations. So in that sense, a regional collaboration, regional cooperation, more regional coordination actually that is necessary, and any effort to that, any initiative to that adds into the efforts for the processes to improve the security. There needs to be more intelligence sharing, there needs to be more information sharing, there needs to be more information pooling between the regional states. It is only through coordinated regional approach that messages will be sent to Afghan Taliban and other groups in Afghanistan that look, there is no space in the region for continuing your activities. Region is united in pushing back against your activities, and the space for you to operate is squeezing by the day. So in that sense, regional approach is also a necessary condition actually for moving forward.
All right. Faisal, also the raw NDS nexus has time and again tried to create havoc in Pakistan, whether it be through the CPEC or other issues. When Pakistan gives dossiers to the different international organizations or the countries or the United Nations as far as these nefarious activities are concerned, with facts, figures and of course proofs of the involvement of these spoilers, do you feel it is also pertinent for the international communities, for the organizations to play a very important role in thwarting the designs of these elements?
On the raw NDS nexus, well, the NDS, the way it was, it is no more right now. That apparatus has collapsed. So in that sense, it's one element. Yes, the dossiers on raw, international community needs to step up its efforts. International community needs to be reflect more cognizance, and it needs to take up the issue with India bilaterally and through multilateral forums. That is there for peace and stability within South Asia, for peace and stability, security between India and Pakistan. International community needs to step up. Having said that, the prospects of international community moving towards that direction, they are very slim at the moment. International community is preoccupied right now with peace and stability in Afghanistan. For them, the situation between India and Pakistan, it's better than the situation in Afghanistan. So the immediate concern is not that they should move ahead on the dossiers. In the longer term, yes, Pakistan needs to step up its diplomacy, needs to continue repeating the point of seeking international engagement, international attention towards India's involvement in destabilizing Pakistan.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammad Faisal, research fellow at the ISSI, to have talked to us about the relationship, the very strong, brotherly, friendly relationship, iron brothers, as a lot of people have called these two countries, Pakistan and the People's Republic of China. And of course, Pakistan has been allaying all the Chinese fears as far as what has been happening these last few incidents, and of course the role of the spoilers that has been highlighted by Pakistan to China as well. And both countries understand the perspective of these spoilers and what they want to do. So of course, let's see how the future plays down as far as these spoilers are concerned, and how much will be also the participation of the regional and international players to thwart the designs of such spoilers. Let's come to the last two stories, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Saqib Amjad has won the Ramon Magsaysay Award. Now, this is the Asian equivalent of the Nobel Prize. This is a huge award for somebody who has been working extensively in Pakistan, and of course to build Pakistan, and of course to strengthen Pakistan and to make a name for Pakistan not only within the country but also internationally. It is a first of its kind interest and collateral free microfinance program that catalyzed scores of poor households. This is something that he started, and it is called Akhuwat. Nearly 2 decades after its launch, this program that was the brainchild of Dr. Saqib has grown into the nation's largest microfinance institution, and that is why it has been awarded this very prestigious Asian equivalent of the Nobel Prize. And also our Prime Minister also accoladed the prize that was given. In a tweet, he also said that we are proud of his achievement, and as we move forward in creating a welfare state based on Riyasat-e-Madina model. So congratulations to Dr. Saqib Amjad to have won this very prestigious award. And there are so many other people like him that are working for strengthening Pakistan in different fields. So all the best to all of them. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, some good stories from the wildlife, and let's go to Sri Lanka here, where the main elephant orphanage has recorded a rare twin birth that has happened after 1941. Now, this is a couple of decades that have passed between the two, but of course, twins have been born, and these are the first twins that have been born since 1941 in captivity in Sri Lanka, and both the calves and the mother are doing fine. The babies are small, but they are healthy. Well, wildlife is something that is important for our fauna and flora, and for the betterment of any environment, and it is a good news, warm-blooded news about, of course, the birth of these twins, and we hope that these little cubs are fine and that the mother is also fine. And we wish also that all such elephants and animals across the world manage to live a healthy and free life. With that, we come to an end of Newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow. News stories, news segments. Till then, as I say every day while we end the shows, get yourselves vaccinated if you haven't. Even if you have gotten yourselves vaccinated, follow the standard operating procedures, and of course, at the same time, try to be very aware of your surroundings, and be very careful so that this pandemic does not spread in a country like Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.